All right, we'll go around these turns here, downshift. Wow, no understeer, razor sharp turn in. Wow, wow. Hey guys, it's Glenn from Glenn'sCarCollection.com, and this is my 6-month review of my McLaren 570s. This video is brought to you by Extreme Mobile Sounds, located at 171 Route 4 West in Paramus, New Jersey. Extreme Mobile Sounds is your one-stop shop for OEM products and aftermarket accessories. They install everything from car stereos to Bluetooth, radar detectors, rear entertainment, remote starters, wheels and tires, and clear bras. Alright guys, so this is going to be a comprehensive 6-month review. We did a lot of stuff when I first got the car, so I'll try not to repeat what I did there. What I'll do is I'll link that at the end of this video. Watch this video all the way through, and in the last 20 seconds there'll be videos you can click on, and I'll have my other McLaren videos there. So I've had the car about 6 months. I'll go over what I like about the car, what I don't like about the car. At the end, I'll give you, let you know if I would have bought one again or would have bought something different. And in this, first we'll go over all the interior, all the inside stuff, and then we'll take it for a spin. We'll do some accelerations, and we'll get into everything good and bad about exotic car and McLaren ownership. So remember, if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, like and share this video so our channel can grow, and as always, leave a positive comment below. And if you're a ready subscriber, hit the notification bell. I post 3 videos every week, and you won't want to miss them. We have 600 car videos on this. Just type in the search box, Glenn's Car Collection, and the car you're interested in, and I guarantee I've either owned it, driven it, or done a review of it. All right, so let's talk about the McLaren. Alright, so let's go over the interior first. It was when I was shopping for McLarens, I bought this car used. It's a 2017 and certified pre-owned. I wanted to have these carbon fiber shifts paddles. I think with the carbon fiber steering wheel, I go over it comprehensively in the first video I did of this car. I think it was like $3,800 for this setup. And if you don't get this, you get the little tiny, very small and plasticky shift levers, which are really junk, and they feel very cheap when you drive them. So that was like the #1 thing for me, looking for those shift paddles, since I was buying used, and options typically don't add any value to the car. The second thing I looked for is this Bowers & Wilkins stereo, and then this is optional carbon fiber. This was an option. I go over the prices in the option, the other videos, so certainly watch that. But definitely the sound system. The base sound system sucks. And again, you're not buying an exotic car for the sound system. But if I'm going for a ride, you know, a mountain road, I love to hear the engine. But, you know, if I'm just going on the highway there and back, I also like to listen to my tunes. Now, this is the optional leather. And the stitching on this is really, really good. I know some of the early cars didn't have good stitching, but I think they did a great job here. The two-tone, everything here is optional. So there's 3 trim levels with the interior, and this has the highest trim level. So instead of the plastic dash, you get the leather dash. Very important down here, probably most important, is the transmission. So you have drive, neutral, reverse. Remember, it's a dual clutch car. And then you have your settings. So this is your auto stop start button. I've never used the auto. I think it does stay on when the car's warmed up, so you actually would have to shut it off like that. And then this is launch control. This is pops open the trunk, and this obviously locks the doors. And then you also have your hazard lights as well. Anything you do here, so these are your powertrain buttons. This takes off your stability control. You probably don't want to do that. And everything you have to do is active. So if I want to take that off, there's a way to take it off. I don't think I'm doing it right, but I always drive in manual mode, which would be this button here. You could drive in automatic mode, but honestly, it's not that great. The shifts aren't that smooth. It'll have you in 7th gear when you're going 30 miles an hour. This is your engine start stop button. So these are, this is P is for powertrain, H is for handling. Typically, I always drive in sport with the throttle or in track mode. And for handling, I mostly leave it on normal. N is for normal, S is for sport, T is for track. The suspensions get a lot stiffer. Unless you're on the racetrack, I don't think you need to do that. Now, if you went into track mode, we're going to do it right now. So now if we're in normal or sport, this is the instrumentation. If we go into track mode, you'll see the whole thing change. And this is my favorite way to drive the car. So when I do spirited runs, say with my friends or by myself up on the mountain roads here, this is the way I always drive the car. So it's just like a Formula One where you have the shift lights, bring it a little closer here, the green, red, and the blue. And this goes quick, so it takes a while to get to green. I forget how far, but you'll get to blue pretty fast. So as soon as you see red, you better be shifting. And then it changes, so it always gives you your tire pressures here, even if we went back to sport mode. Oh no, it doesn't, I'm sorry. So on the track mode, it gives your, go back to track, it gives the temperature and the tire pressures. It also gives you your gas as a percentage. Now this thing does suck gas, okay? So I get driving on, and again, I'm always driving a Spirit Lee. I'm not driving it ever once for gas mileage. So on the highway, if I just do highway, I'm probably getting 230 miles to a tank, maybe 250 if I'm really easy. But you know, if I'm driving around on a mountain road or spirited driving on say 50-mile-an-hour country roads, I probably only get 100-something miles on a tank of gas, maybe 130, maybe 150. So I do fill up gas before every drive. So I'm hopefully do another drive this weekend. So as soon as we're done filming here, I'll get gas. I literally get gas as I'm going back to my house. So if I'm doing a Sunday morning drive, I start with a full tank of gas because I'm going to need it. So let's go to the odometer now. We have 7,200 miles. I've put 2,200 since I've gotten the car. So I bought this car with exactly 5,000 miles. And that's pretty good. So I've had it 6 months, another 6 months. I've driven this car about 4,500 miles, which will be perfect. All right, so let's go into the entertainment here. So phone I've never used, I'm sure it's fine. Media, I could plug in my iPhone and use Bluetooth. The radio is pretty good. What you have to do with the radio stations is you have to use the dial, obviously. I typically just use my playlist on my phone. And then there's other buttons here as well. So if we wanted to press, this would be our climate control buttons. Notice that the guy is a race car driver here. So you have your heated seats. You have whether you want the fresh air or not. Now, a lot of people, if you see these reviews like this, see we're playing around with the air conditioning now and you feel the difference in the noise. While you're driving, that's hard to use. So on a light, that's good. But if you wanted 65 degrees, as you can see here, 165 and 166, it's because it's really hard to do on the fly, especially on a bumpy road. You try to get 65, you'll get everything from 72 to 60. So I'd rather just be a knob so I can keep my eyes on the road. This is also optional carbon fiber. And again, when we talk here as we play with the powertrain modes, we always have to make sure this button is active. If it's not active, it won't change the powertrain. And then these are your stiffer settings. If anything goes in track, whether it's handling or powertrain, it'll give you the screen with the green, red, and blue lights. Now the interior is still in great shape. The seats are still in great shape. We can GoPro stop recording. You know, the seats are, the leather's been held up good. I'm always very careful with my cars, but everything seems to be holding up really well here. We have a front lift. So the first thing I did with this car, first you should do two things when you first get an exotic car. One is a clear bra. Luckily I bought this used, so it had a clear bra. And then the number two thing is, even though this has a front lift, it's still very low to the ground, and there's a lot of steep driveways. You know, we drive on the country roads a lot here in New Jersey and New York State, and there's a lot of dips in these country roads. And the front lift goes back up at 30 miles an hour. So if you're driving on a 50-mile-an-hour country road, there could be a big dip there where you could bottom out. That's never happened to me, thank God, but I've seen it happen too many times. So I always leave a following distance person in front of me. He bottoms out on this country road. You know, I hit the brakes. So the first thing I did is put a skid plate underneath. And thanks to Joe at EMS, free plug for Joe, I get everything done at his place for all my cars. So he does window tint, he does radar installation, he does stereo systems, he does skid plates for these cars that's on the front bumper. He'll do clear bras, he'll do he did the tinted windows on my Audi. He'll do stereo systems, radar detectors, built-in radar. So go to Joe in Paramus at EMS. I'll leave his number right here, and just tell him Glenn sent you. He hooked me up, and he's going to hook me up on all my cars. When we get our project car, we're going to get everything done at Joe's, and I've been bringing all my cars to him for years. And he works on exotics all the time, so no matter what car you have, I would trust my car with him. He does a fantastic job, and he does a lot of stuff for the dealerships in the area too. So if the exotic car dealers are using him, you should use him too. All right, guys, enough talk. Let's take this thing for a drive. All right, guys, so now we're going to take this car for a drive. So now there's two sets of OEM tires for this car. They're both Pirellis. They're Pirelli P0s and P0 Corsas. Now the P0s are the standard tire on this car. They have a wear rating of 300, 225, 35, 19s. And you could also get, my car has the optional P0 Corsas, the same tire size, but they have a tread wear of 80, and they're considered a competition tire instead of maximum summer tire. So the standard Pirellis will last you forever. They have a 300 wear rating. These probably last 3,000 to 5,000 miles, and I already have 2,200 miles on them. So the first owner replaced them at like 3,500 miles, and actually have more than that because I put 2,000 miles. So we probably have 4,000 miles or something on them right now, but we still have a lot of tread left, so I'm not beating on the car. I'm not beating out with launch control and stuff like that, so the tires do still have some tread left. All right, enough talk, let's drive the car. The dual clutch in this transmission is great. My friend just bought a Porsche GT3 RS, and I drove this car to meet him, and I got to drive his car. Unfortunately, not to film a review, but just to drive it. And this dual clutch is even better than the Porsche, and the Porsche is probably one of the best in the business, but this is even exceeds that. Now these tires do need a lot of heat in them, so I really have to drive about 20 minutes with these tires, even on a really hot summer day like today, to get any heat in the tires. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use the nose lift here, and again we have the skid plate for our protection, and I'm going to go through the menus here, and we're going to raise it. It raises pretty quick. So my Audi S8, you could actually get out and watch it. That's how slow it takes, when this does it very, very quickly. All right, little acceleration. Now the nose went right back down. At 38 miles an hour basically is the difference between going up and down. So if you had it raised for a steep driveway, you get on the road, you hit about 38, 40 miles an hour, it raises it. And that's the noise you're hearing, that's the beep. So now it's telling me that the ride height is raised. Let's do some acceleration. Now here's the problem with exotic cars is, you always hear about, like, say my S2000, I love slow car fast. So on these same roads where we do these videos, I can really rev out the car, go through second and third gear, and I'm not really breaking any speed limits. This car, once I'm in third gear, I'm breaking every speed limit. So you're kind of limited what you can do around town, especially everybody has camera phones. These roads are really strictly patrolled as far as speed goes, so that's something to keep in mind. I love doing drives with my friends where there's a pack of maybe 8 of us or more, and the advantage of that is they have sports cars too, so my car doesn't stick out as much. When you're driving by yourself, everybody on the road notices you, so that's a downside to the car. Remember, if you want to go 100 miles an hour on the highway or pass somebody on the right who's going slow in the left lane, that's on somebody's camera phone. Everybody has filmed that car. So what's it really like to own a car like this? Well, besides some of those things, it does get a lot of attention. I've never had any bad attention yet, and I drive this car as much as possible. I drive it every weekend here in New Jersey. I know sometimes people hate on Ferraris or Lamborghinis, maybe because this car is British. It kind of reminds me of when I used to belong to a club and we had a V8 Aston Martin, so it gets a lot of attention, but a ton of attention, but pretty much all the attention is positive. Servicing costs. You know, I bought CPO from a McLaren dealer and I paid more to get that. I wanted to have an existing warranty. Basically, I bought this car with a 2-year warranty. 1 year was existing on the bumper to bumper and 1 year of certified pre-owned. And when you buy certified pre-owned, they make sure all the services are up to date. These tires have been replaced once already, and it really it makes a big difference. So you could buy maybe a McLaren for 10 grand cheaper, but who knows if that warranty is still intact, because the car really has to have services up to date from the McLaren dealer. So if you buy from a dealer, you pay more money, but I think I'm going to save that during my ownership period. So since I have a 2-year warranty, my ownership period will be for 2 years. I think that'll be perfect, so we can see how reliable they are, what they cost to service. Supposedly it's an annual service. I've talked to a lot of 570S owners, which essentially is a glorified oil change. You know, assuming you don't need tires, you have ceramic brakes, so long as you didn't abuse them, they should last a very long time. Without counting obviously tires. You know, servicing seems to run between $1,000 and $1,500 a year, which what seems like a glorified oil change. All right, so we'll get. Hopefully, we have enough heat on the tires. We can do some acceleration on the highway now. This car is very low to the ground. You got to make sure other people see you, especially in parking lots. They might not see you on their backup camera. This dual clutch transmission is awesome. I still prefer that this car would be slower and have a stick shift. I think it would just be awesome to own your own gears, but you know, in Formula One they don't have stick shifts, so. And I know I'm in the minority. Most people would probably prefer a really good dual clutch. GoPro's, is it recording? Hopefully GoPro's recording. Wow. And that's just going into 4th gear, so. Now on the highway, it gets loud. There's a lot of road noise in here, so I got to talk loud. It's a 7-speed dual clutch, so if we're going 70 miles an hour, we're at about 1900 RPM, and that's, you can actually get good gas mileage. I don't see that. And the meter here on the gas will actually adjust. It always tells you how much miles you had left. So we were doing some back roads, and it was telling us we had about 80 miles left on this tank of gas. As soon as I got on the highway, I'm in 7th gear going 65 miles an hour. It's telling me I have over 100 now in range if I kept this speed. So how is the ride quality? Well, you do kind of feel in your lower back. It's sports car stiff. So if you had like an M3 competition, I would say the ride quality is like that. It's probably, you know, similar to my M2, maybe a little bit stiffer than the M2. Now, if you want a softer ride and more sound deadening, go for the GT. The GT does not have the razor sharp steering. You can't hear the car as well, the sound. It has steel brakes instead of ceramic, but the ceramics are optional. I test drove this back to back with the GT, and I don't think the GT has a good enough resale value as the S, even though there's more S's sold, I believe. But it was just like, it kind of reminded me of a really nice 911, more luxury than sport. And if I'm only going to drive this car on the weekends, because I'm never going to take it to work. Here's some turns. Hold on. Downshift a second. Dual clutch is great, the best in the business in my opinion. These Corsa tires, they really have so much grip once they warm up. And I'm going to give you guys a treat here. So we're going to roll this down just to go down through the tunnel. Ready? Here we go. Alright guys, so let's review what I like and what I don't like about the car. I love how this car looks. I love the performance. I bought this car, the number one reason is for handling. The fact that it's got great acceleration is awesome. If it was half a second slower to 60, even a second slower to 60, I probably wouldn't care, would have bought it anyway. McLaren claims, well, this car is called a 570S. In Europe, they measure horsepower differently than we measure here. So it would be 570 horsepower in England. Here it's 562, the way it measures. That's my signal, I'm signaling. And these cars are really underrated. I think, you know, this car was producing probably that at the wheels. I know Motor Trend did a test, and it was crazy horsepower, and that's why the 0 to 60 time is so good. So McLaren claims a 3.10 to 60 time. I haven't tested it myself yet, but we will. A lot of owners have gotten 2.8, 2.9. I think even some have gotten 2.7 with these tires. So the car is definitely underrated. It probably puts out 600 something horsepower. So those are the things I like. Again, handling, looks, performance. I love the most important. The gearbox is phenomenal. The servicing costs are reasonable. Buy it from a McLaren dealer so you have a CPO car. You could save 10 grand buying from a no-name dealer, but you may have a lot of deferred services, and then you have a warranty repair. You have to bring those services up to date. So start with a CPO car. Trust me. Any downsides? Well, downsides I think the same of any exotic car, not just McLaren. What was that noise? Let's do acceleration first before I tell you downsides. Yep, that's what you spend your money on. That performance. So downsides like any car. Oh, we didn't have the GoPro running for that one. So the downsides like any exotic car are, you know, the attention it gets, the expense of the tires, the expense of, you know, you're going to want to clear bra the car, you're going to want to do a skid plate like I did. I wanted this car as a sport exhaust. I specifically were looking for cars for sport exhausts. Transmission, but I will keep this McLaren as much as I can. I always wanted to have an exotic car once in my life, and I just thought the 570s was the perfect car, and I was you know, dreaming about this car. I mean, it's only been out since 2016, so I can't say I was dreaming about it my whole life, but let's do some acceleration here. And the only problem with this is you catch up always to the car in front of you, and then people want to race you. Once they see you're accelerating, whether they have a Mustang or a pickup truck, they're trying to floor it and weave in and out of lanes, and they want to race you for some reason, and I'm not sure why. So would I buy this car again? 100% yes. 100%. I'm so glad I bought this car. I'm so glad I bought a fully loaded car. So really shop around. Options, like most cars, don't make a difference on the used market. So try to get as many options as you can. Alright guys, I'm late for breakfast, so I'm going to end this video now. Thanks again for watching, subscribing. We'll do continued updates on the McLaren. We'll try to do some more aggressive driving with it as well. So hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss that next video. Like and share these videos so my channel could grow. If my channel could grow, I can make more videos. If you're already a subscriber, hit the notification bell. I post 3 videos every week, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern time. And we have 600 car reviews on this channel, most of any channel. So just type in whatever car you're considering buying, whether it's a BMW, an Audi, a Porsche, a Mustang. Just type in Glenn's Car Collection and the name of the car you want in the search bar, and I'm sure I've either owned it, driven it, or reviewed it on this channel. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.